Hey there. Ready to dive into some powerful ideas about unlocking your inner potential?
I'm excited.
Today we're taking a deep dive into a book from 1902 called Realization Made Easy by Kate Atkinson Boehme.
1902. Wow. That's going way back.
It is, but trust me, the concepts in this book are surprisingly relevant even over a century later.
Interesting. What kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, we're actually working from excerpts of a YouTube video reading of the book.
Oh, cool. So someone's actually reading it out loud.
Exactly. Makes it easier to digest these sometimes complex ideas.
Definitely. I'm all for that.
So Boehme explores things like the power of our thoughts, the idea that we're all connected to something much greater than ourselves,
Okay, I'm intrigued.
and even the possibility of transcending things like pain and aging.
Whoa, hold on. Transcending pain and aging. You got my attention.
Right. It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah, I bet. So where do we even begin with a book like this?
Well, right from the introduction, Boehme throws out this analogy that stuck with me. She compares human perception to looking at a straight stick that appears crooked when submerged in water.
I get it. It's like what we perceive as reality might not be the whole picture.
Exactly. It sets the stage for questioning our assumptions about the world and ourselves.
And I'm guessing that's where her concept of the inner powerhouse comes in.
You got it. Boehme argues that we're constantly looking outside ourselves for solutions, for happiness, for fulfillment, when the true power to change our lives is already within us.
It's like we're giving away our power to external forces.
Exactly. It's like we forget that we have this incredible potential within our own minds. Boehme even uses the example of a hypnotist to illustrate this point.
Oh, how so?
Well, she talks about how a seemingly frail person can exhibit immense strength just through the power of belief when under hypnosis.
Yeah. You know, it's like when people lift cars off of others in emergencies. It's amazing what the mind can do.
Right. So if that kind of strength is possible just through belief, imagine what we're capable of when we truly tap into our own inner power.
That's a powerful thought. It makes you wonder, how often are we limiting ourselves by not recognizing and utilizing that inner strength?
All the time, probably.
Yeah.
And speaking of limitations, Boehme uses this analogy of a child chasing flickering sunshine on the floor, always reaching for it, but never quite grasping it.
That's a good one. It's like that elusive pursuit of happiness that never quite satisfies.
Right. And Boehme argues that we're all doing that in some way, chasing external things, thinking they'll bring us lasting happiness, when what we're really seeking is already within us.
It's like that saying, happiness comes from within.
Exactly. And to really illustrate this concept of interconnectedness and inner power, Boehme uses this amazing diagram called the radiant figure.
Ooh, a diagram. I love a good visual.
It's a powerful one. Picture a circle with God at the center and radiating outward like spokes on a wheel or lines, each one representing a human being.
Okay, I can see it. So we're all connected, emanating from the same source.
Exactly. It's a powerful visual representation of the idea that we're all part of something much larger than ourselves.
It really makes you think about the implications for how we live our lives.
Absolutely. If we truly grasp this concept of oneness, it could change everything about how we interact with others, how we approach challenges, even our sense of purpose.
It could revolutionize our entire worldview.
Exactly. So we've got this inner power, this connection to something bigger than ourselves. But how do we access it? How do we make it real in our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Well, Boehme gets into some really practical stuff about mastering your thought machine. And she actually quotes Edward Carpenter, who has some fascinating ideas about how to manage our thoughts.
Like what?
Well, Carpenter compares getting rid of an unwanted thought to shaking a stone out of your shoe. It's a simple analogy, but it's so true. We don't have to cling to every thought that pops into our heads.
That's a good point. We do have a choice, don't we?
Exactly. We can choose which thoughts we entertain and which ones we let go of.
It's like we need to become the bouncer of our own minds.
Right. And this is where things get even more interesting. Carpenter also talks about concentrating thought like a powerful engine.
So we should be intentional with our thoughts, use them as a tool.
Exactly. It's like we have this incredible mental muscle, but we often forget to train it. Boehme emphasizes that we shouldn't be ruled by our minds, but rather learn to use them effectively.
It's about taking control of our thoughts instead of letting them control us.
I mean, haven't you ever felt like your thoughts were just spiraling out of control, causing you stress and anxiety?
Oh, absolutely. Happens to me all the time.
Learning to master your thought machine feels like a crucial skill for navigating the world today.
I totally agree.
And speaking of navigating, this idea of mastering our thoughts leads perfectly into Boehme's concept of the line of destiny.
Okay, line of destiny. I like the sound of that. What's it all about?
Well, Boehme asks us to imagine a line starting from the center of a circle, representing pure being, and then traveling out to the circumference of the circle, representing experience in the material world. And then ultimately, that line returns back to the center.
It's like a journey of sorts.
Exactly. And Boehme says that along this line, we experience different states of consciousness.
Okay, so it's not just a straight line, but more like a winding path with twists and turns.
Exactly. It's like remembering a familiar song you haven't heard in years.
You get a rush of emotions and memories.
Right. And Boehme suggests that maybe we're not just remembering a song, but tapping into a past state of being or consciousness.
So we're constantly evolving and experiencing different aspects of ourselves.
And of the universe, even. It's a really interesting way of challenging the traditional idea of destiny as something predetermined.
So we have more agency than we might think.
Definitely. It suggests that we have the potential to access different states of awareness through conscious effort.
I like where this is going.
Now, all this talk about consciousness and evolving brings us to the topic of prayer.
Okay, prayer. I'm curious to hear what a book from 1902 has to say about that.
Well, Boehme's take on prayer is pretty unique. She sees it as stemming from a sense of lack, and she uses a 5-pointed star diagram to illustrate the different stages of prayer.
5-pointed star, huh? I'm picturing it. Lay it on me.
So at the beginning, you're at one point of the star praying for things you feel are missing in your life.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty standard prayer stuff.
Right. But as you move closer to the center of the star, your focus shifts from asking to aligning with a higher power.
So it's like your understanding of what prayer is actually evolves.
Exactly. And get this, in the final stage at the very center of the star, prayer isn't even necessary.
Whoa, wait a minute. You're saying no more prayer.
Because, according to Boehme, you've achieved oneness with the divine.
Whoa, that's a pretty radical concept.
It really is. It flips the script on how we traditionally think about prayer. Instead of petitioning some far-off deity, it's about recognizing and connecting to the divine within ourselves.
It's like that saying, we are all God.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, how has your own relationship with prayer, or even just seeking guidance, changed over time?
It's definitely evolved. I used to think of prayer as asking for things, but now I see it more as a way to connect with something bigger than myself.
And Boehme seems to be suggesting that as we evolve, maybe prayer as we know it becomes obsolete.
It's a fascinating idea.
It makes me wonder, what other seemingly unshakable concepts Boehme challenges in this book?
Yeah. What else does she have in store for us? I'm ready to dive deeper.
Well, one concept that might really surprise you is Boehme's take on pain.
Pain, like physical pain.
Yeah, she actually suggests that while pain has been a driving force in evolution, helping us survive.
Right, avoiding danger.
Exactly, we can actually transcend it.
Transcend pain, as in like live without it completely.
That's what she seems to be saying. That's a pretty radical idea.
It is, but think about it. She uses that radiant figure diagram again.
The one with God at the center and the lines radiating out.
Yeah, but this time she adds light and darkness to represent the duality of existence.
So like good and evil, light and shadow.
Exactly. And she points out that pain acts as a danger signal, alerting us to threats.
Right, like touching a hot stove.
Exactly. But imagine if our inner consciousness was so aligned with the universe that we instinctively avoided harm.
So we wouldn't even need that pain signal.
A perfected being wouldn't need pain because they'd be in perfect harmony with their surroundings.
It's a fascinating thought experiment.
It is.
Makes you wonder, though, could we also consciously influence our physical experiences through our inner awareness?
Boehme seems to think so.
Really?
She even hints at the possibility of regenerating physical capabilities through conscious effort.
Wow, that's like next level stuff.
It's like she was tapping into the mind-body connection way before it became mainstream.
It really makes you think about things like the placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
People experiencing real, measurable improvements in their health just from believing they're receiving treatment.
Exactly. Maybe Boehme was really onto something about the untapped potential of our consciousness.
It definitely makes you question the limitations we place on ourselves.
Speaking of limitations, Boehme then explores the distinction between what she calls the true life and the untrue life.
True life versus untrue life.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And she uses another diagram for this one.
Hit me with it.
Okay, picture this, an inner star nestled inside a larger outer star.
Okay, I can see it.
So the outer star symbolizes the realm of illusion, where we're caught up in our egos and fears and material possessions.
It's like the fake world, the superficial stuff.
Exactly. It's the untrue life, where we feel separate and disconnected.
Okay, and then the inner star.
The inner star represents the realm of truth, where we're connected to our true selves and the divine.
So it's like choosing which star we want to inhabit.
Exactly. Have you ever had one of those moments where you felt deeply connected to something larger than yourself? A moment of pure clarity and peace?
Yeah, definitely.
Boehme would probably say those are glimpses of that true life.
Exactly. And that leads us to another really important distinction that Boehme makes.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's the difference between being versus becoming.
Being versus becoming.
Okay. It's so easy to get caught up in striving, in always trying to achieve to become something better.
Always trying to reach the next level, the next goal.
But Boehme argues that true power comes from recognizing the inherent worth and divinity we already possess right now in this moment.
It's like we already have everything we need. It's just about tapping into it.
Exactly. It's about embracing our being, not just focusing on becoming.
She uses this beautiful analogy of a flower blossoming from the soil.
Oh, I love that one.
Right. It's a reminder that everything contains the potential for growth and transformation, even the stuff that seems base or ordinary.
And, if we can shift our focus from constantly striving to simply being, imagine how much more peaceful and joyful our lives could be.
That's a really beautiful thought.
It's not about giving up on our goals, but approaching them from a place of wholeness and self-acceptance.
It's like coming from a place of abundance instead of lashing.
Exactly. And this idea of being also has some pretty radical implications for how we view things like poverty.
Poverty, okay. How so?
Boehme actually suggests that poverty can be seen as a result of placing power outside of oneself.
So it's not just about a lack of money, but a lack of inner power.
Right. She uses this really vivid image of someone standing on their head instead of their feet.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I get it.
True strength, she says, comes from a grounded, empowered stance.
So it's about reclaiming our agency, right? Instead of feeling like victims of circumstance, we can choose to see obstacles as opportunities to grow.
Exactly. To build our mental muscle.
Think about areas in your life where you feel powerless. What would it take to shift into a position of greater strength?
It's a challenging question, but an important one to ask ourselves.
It makes me think about the stories we tell ourselves about our own limitations.
Right. Are those stories really true, or are we just holding ourselves back?
Maybe Boehme is suggesting we need to rewrite those stories to see ourselves as capable and worthy of creating the lives we desire.
I think you're right on the money there.
So we've got this inner power, this ability to choose our thoughts and beliefs, and this potential to transcend limitations.
It's all starting to come together.
But how do we actually make this happen? How do we move from theory to reality?
Well, that's where Boehme's emphasis on realization through feeling comes in.
Realization through feeling. So we're not just talking about thinking our way to a better life.
It's not enough to just think about truth. Boehme argues we need to feel it in every fiber of our being.
So we're talking about intuition, that gut feeling that sometimes contradicts logic.
Exactly. Remember that anecdote she shared about the disputed $25?
Oh, yeah, where she felt compelled to give the money back even though she technically had a right to it.
Right. Her initial impulse was to hold on to the money, but she felt this deeper pull to follow her heart, and it led to this amazing experience of joy and connection.
It's like those times when you just know what the right thing to do is, even if you can't explain it logically.
Exactly. It highlights the power of tuning into our intuition, even when it doesn't make logical sense.
So Boehme seems to be saying that those moments when we really feel the truth in our hearts, those are the moments of true realization.
It's like we're accessing a deeper level of knowing, one that transcends our limited rational minds.
And maybe that's the key to unlocking our full potential.
Mm-hmm.
As we're exploring all these ideas about consciousness and realizing our potential, it made me think about Boehme's perspective on aging.
Oh, yeah. She had some interesting things to say about that.
It's not just about the years that have passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about how we experience those years, how our consciousness shapes our perception of aging.
It's like our inner world can actually influence our outer world, even when it comes to something as seemingly fixed as time.
Exactly. And Boehme makes this observation that as we get older, our consciousness tends to shift inward, focusing more on memories of the past.
It's like we're living less in the present moment and more in the echoes of what's already happened.
Right. And she suggests that this inward focus can actually contribute to the physical signs of aging.
So it's not just about our cells getting older, but about our minds getting stuck in the past.
Exactly. What if our bodies are mirroring our state of mind? If we're mentally and emotionally holding on to the past, could our physical selves start to reflect that stagnation?
It's a fascinating idea and a little bit scary, too, if you think about it.
Right. But it also suggests that if we can shift our consciousness, if we can bring ourselves more fully into the present moment, maybe we can influence our experience of aging.
Boehme definitely seemed to think so.
She even talks about visualizing ourselves as youthful and vibrant, believing that this kind of mental imagery can have a real physical effect.
So it's not about denying aging, but about consciously choosing how we want to experience it.
Right. It's about embracing the wisdom and experience that comes with age, while also cultivating a sense of vitality and aliveness.
And it's not as far out as it might sound.
Right. We're learning more and more about the mind-body connection all the time.
Think about all the research being done on the placebo effect, people experiencing real measurable improvements in their health just from the belief that they're receiving treatment.
Exactly. Maybe Boehme was tapping into something profound about the power of our thoughts and beliefs to shape our reality.
It definitely challenges us to reconsider what we think is possible.
This all ties back to the idea of mastering your thought machine, doesn't it? If we can learn to direct our thoughts and beliefs, maybe we can influence our experience of aging, tap into a wellspring of vitality that we might not even realize we possess.
It's a powerful concept, for sure.
And, Boehme's use of simple diagrams throughout the book really helps to make these sometimes abstract ideas more concrete and accessible.
Oh, yeah, like the radiant figure and the five-pointed star.
Exactly. It's like she's giving us a visual language for these concepts, a way to grasp and remember them.
Even if you forget the specifics of her philosophy, those images stick with you.
They serve as reminders of those core principles, our interconnectedness, our potential for growth, the power of aligning ourselves with the divine within.
And what I really appreciate about Boehme is that she doesn't just present these ideas as cold, hard theory.
Right. She weaves in her own personal experiences, like that story about the disputed $25.
Exactly. It makes her philosophy feel more grounded and relatable.
It reminds us that we don't have to be perfect to be on a spiritual path.
We're all works in progress.
And every experience, even the ones that feel challenging or confusing, offers an opportunity for growth and realization.
So true.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Realization Made Easy, what are some of the key takeaways you're personally walking away with?
For me, the biggest takeaway is the reminder that we already possess everything we need to live a fulfilling and meaningful life.
We have the power within.
Exactly. The power to change, to heal, to create. It's all there within us.
It's just a matter of tapping into that inner power source and aligning ourselves with the truth of who we really are.
Beautifully said.
And I think that message really echoes throughout Boehme's work, inspiring us to step into our full potential and create a reality that reflects our deepest values and aspirations.
It's definitely a message of hope and empowerment.
So for everyone listening, we encourage you to check out Realization Made Easy and explore these ideas for yourself.
See what resonates with you.
And as you delve into Boehme's work, ask yourselves these questions. If you could design your own heaven on earth, what would it look like? And what steps can you take today to bring that vision into reality? Remember, the power to create your own reality truly does lie within you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep realizing your full potential.